Welcome to the LZ Sports Show. I am your host, Mark Adam. I apologize for the slight delay. We had some technical issues. It wouldn't actually launch. I had to relog in. Anyway, we're good. We're up now. It's all happening right now. I want to thank you for being here. I want to let you know that you can follow us on all them social medias. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please. And I know the big YouTube thing is smash that like button, but please like, subscribe to the channel. That goes a long way. Really like when people join us for the chats. So send messages through Facebook chat, YouTube chat, Twitch. We should be live on all three. If it's working, I'm not really sure. It's recording anyway. If it doesn't show up on YouTube properly, it will be up today. So join us, chat along, and I'm going to introduce you as well to my co-host, Mr. Keith McNight. How are you doing, sir? Oh, he's gone all squiffy again. How you doing? Good. Have I got your, is sound coming through for that guy? I can hear you, but can they hear you? Go ahead, keep talking.
Yes.
There you go.
Tough game last night.
It was working when we did our test this morning, but it did not want to play games with me today. So it is what it is, but we've got it going. Thank you for joining me, Keith. I'm going to fix it so that they can actually see your face. There it goes. That should solve that problem. There we go. All right. I don't know why it keeps readjusting your thing. This software that we have is super fun to play with. And by fun, I mean I want to fight it. But here we are. It's you. It's me. It's it's you and it's me and it's everybody in the chats. So Coffee and TV did notice that it was a black screen. So sorry about that. It was supposed to be the thing and then it wasn't. And he said, never mind. It's fine now. So yes, we do have our chat that you can see. You can join us and chat with us and have all kinds of fun. So that said, why don't we just run our quick commercial and we'll come back and we'll jump right into the score sheet and then run down the list of stuff that I got to talk about, and I'm sure you have some topics in mind as well. So without further ado, here is a word from our sponsor.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aqua-Tech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aqua-Tech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aqua-Tech job, it's an Aqua-Tech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aqua-Tech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
Welcome back, and thank you to our sponsor, Aqua-Tech Pool, Spa, and Bath. James Robinson joining us in the chat. Morning, lads. Morning to you, sir. Mr. Robinson, here's to you, Mr. No, okay, we're not going to get into the silliness of it. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to jump straight to the stats. We're going to have a look at the game stats from yesterday's. Why is that still saying 2? I have fixed that about 4 times, guys. I apologize. But just imagine that says 2-1. For the Ottawa Senators. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Don't worry about it. But all the other stats there are correct. So 29 shots for, only 1 goal for the Jets. That's problematic. We got the face-off percentage where we won again and lost another game. Every time we win in this category of the face-off circle, we lose the game. I'm uncertain what the correlation is. We keep talking about it over and over and over again, but that's just where we're at. 6 opportunities on the power play for the Jets, and they end up with 0 goals on all 6. Absolutely rough. We're going to get into that a little bit later too. 0 for 3 for the Sens. Power play was not an advantage, it seems, last night. 14 penalty minutes for the Senators, unable to capitalize were the Jets. Lots of hits in the game, 27 for the Jets, 30 for the Sens. And looking at the score sheet, this is a little weak on both sides, to be honest. But I think, Morrissey scoring was good. We like to see that. He needs to get more engaged in the games for sure. Pionk and Wheeler with the assists there. Brossoit, 16 for 18. Not great. Under 900 against this team, I think, for the first time this year. But, the Ottawa Senators are no joke right now. They are playing very good hockey. I think they're 7-3-0 in their last 10. Or 7-2-1, actually. I think they might have the best last 10 record in the entire division right now, which is insane because they're in last place. But that's just the way she goes. So welcome back to the show, everybody. We are going to be breaking this down. Start with you, Mr. McNight. Was there a player last night that stood out to you as a positive before we get into what were some negatives?
I'm going to go with Logan Stanley. He was definitely trying his best yesterday, being out there for the first time in quite a while, I guess. And, with being in the lineup and out of the lineup, I think he rebounded very nicely to inject himself very nicely for the Jets. And I know with the late goal, it looked like he might have been the defenseman to blame. But, when I watched the replay, I saw him, get down onto one knee, try to block the shot where he turned his face right so he could avoid it that way. And, he put the effort in yesterday, so he's definitely my pick. How about you?
You know what? I was going to go with Logan Stanley as well. I really thought, he was just so physical, and I know he took that penalty, and that was a penalty. I'm not going to argue that it wasn't. I'm not going to say it wasn't a penalty because he took his free hand and he hit the guy in the face. That's a penalty. I'm sorry. That's interference, roughing, whatever you want to call it. That's a penalty. You can't do that. But I liked the energy with which he did it. I really enjoyed that. So Kerry Bilkowski, by the way, in the chat today as well. He says, hey, guys, another comment here. Yes, Pomo is going to have a hard time benching Stanley after last night's performance. Great puck work and some big checks. I agree. I definitely muted my phone, but it's still making noise. Whatever. This is the world I live in today. Everything, all of my tech has just abandoned me and wants to yell at me, and that's where we live right now. I don't understand why it went full volume after I turned it off. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so I agree with you. Logan Stanley was the guy last night, and Kerry Blakowski obviously agrees. And yeah, Pomo's going to have a hard time pulling him and sitting him and justifying that come the next game tomorrow night. So yeah, I think so. Speaking of Pomo, now that with all the 7 losses in a row, which is the largest losing streak the Jets have had this season, and as Keith McKnight pointed out in his article on the WPG for the preview, it's the largest losing streak they've had since relocating to Winnipeg from Atlanta. So
Atlanta, yes.
Do you want to? What are your thoughts on that, there, Mr. McKnight?
That is a crazy, crazy statistic to comprehend because they're celebrating 10 years now being back here in Winnipeg, and that I think it'll stand out to them. Yes, it's just like, okay, we can't ever let that happen again. But you got to give them credit though, in a way, right? Like for the first time in 10 years, this is the first time they've had this long of a losing streak. And there was a time, the Winnipeg Jets, there was good teams, there was bad teams, and then there were 50 feet of crap, and then there were the Jets, right? And they were the laughing stock of the league. But to still be the laughing stock of the league and still have come out with a 7-game losing streak now, 10 years later, you can't really. I don't really think it was almost bound to happen. It's just weird the way it's happening and how it's happening with this shortened season so close to the playoffs, where things looked really promising for us for the Winnipeg Jets at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's frustrating right now because they went so long without even losing 2 in a row in regulation, and then it was okay, well, we lost 2 in a row in regulation. Now we haven't lost 3 in a row in regulation, and all of a sudden that exploded into 7. So there's definite problems. But the big question that a lot of people are asking, because now you're on a 7-game losing streak, is Paul Maurice the problem? Do they need to fire Paul? And not that they would do it right now, but at the end of this season, do you think Paul Maurice's job is safe? Do you think he's gone? Do you think it's a gray area? Do you think there's conversation to be had? Where do you sit, Keith?
I really think that they shouldn't fire him. He's not the problem. I was looking at some of the Reddit comments yesterday after you told me, excuse me, to give that a read. I found this one post of Paul Maurice's coaching record, and it was like 250 something victories, 174 losses, and 54 overtime losses. And that's a pretty good winning record. I don't think his job is the problem, or his job is in question. I don't think his coaching tactics and his habits are a problem. And I'm ready to take the heat on this. I just think it's time that the Winnipeg Jets organization moves on from Mark Scheifele.
Right.
In our last show, I pointed out with that Jonathan Toews hockey card back there, when 2010, 2013, 2015, in that window of 5 years that Dr. Avinash Kumar, one of the show's fans in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, says that is the time that you have to get the best out of them. And we're still holding on to Mark Scheifele 10 years later. And we have to move on from Mark Scheifele's 16 points in 14 games when they made it to the conference finals and they ended up losing to Vegas. Was it 4 or 5 games, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have to move on from that. And what it is, I don't think Kevin Cheveldayoff's job is in trouble, but it should be in question. He's giving the vibes off to me that he's just milking this job, kind of how Mitch Kupchak, the former general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers, milked the Paul Gasol trade from like 2008 for as long as he could. And yes, the Lakers went on and won, a title or two, and then went to the finals and lost. It's just like, what he's doing here right now, we've only had one good playoff run, and like the city's still holding on to that. I think we have to move on from it. If we were going to trade Patrick Laine, okay, that's fine. But I think that Mark Scheifele should be highly, highly examined right now for let it be free agency or the trade market.
Wow. Okay. A couple of comments. First of all, just as a side note, going back to this Logan Stanley thing, hey, that's my mom. My mom just liked the stream. Yay.
Nice.
Yay. So just going back to the comments real quick, James Robinson did say he felt bad for Shabbat, and that was that. And I feel bad for the guy too, but that was a clean hit. Logan Stanley hit him clean. It wasn't dirty. It wasn't a Tom Wilson thing, which we remind me to get into again later. But like, it wasn't a dirty hit. It wasn't something that was malicious. He finishing checks. You go anywhere near the Jets net, Logan Stanley's going to make you pay for it. And Thomas Shabbat, it was just an unfortunate situation, and I feel bad for Shabbat too. But now back to the Maurice thing. Kerry Bilkowski says Maurice isn't the problem. However, his reluctance to shuffle lines is very frustrating. I agree. And James Robinson says the Jets haven't been on more than a 1-game win streak for a while. I believe that's countering your point of, Maurice's track record and da-da-da-da-da. And I agree. It's, you talk about Cheveldayoff resting on his laurels or whatever, sort of coasting. But I really don't think that's the case. I think he's made a lot of really great moves. I think this trade deadline was a bust, but this was a much more challenging trade deadline than normal. You had to deal with COVID restrictions. Is it worth bringing a guy over if it's we have to be a week without him and giving up what have we got to give up to get him and blah, blah, blah. I think what he did do was good. I think the issue is, would it have been better to do nothing and not introduce Jamie Benn as this wild card who's going to get the ice time because, the guys who we think as fans deserve it aren't getting it. Logan Stanley keeps getting sat for Ben, and then we pull Ben out, who we traded for, Stanley back in. It's something's got to change, and I agree that kind of goes back to the Maurice isn't the problem. But not shuffling the lines as much as we would like to see. There's some stubbornness there. And Kerry also says we have some serious player issues. Wheeler's looked abysmal. I don't know about abysmal, but definitely not good. Not the Wheeler of old. Since his injury, he's been pretty, I'll use the word lackluster. But Scheif seems checked out. I agree. And we'll get into that in a bit, but there's something up with Scheif. And Forbort is coming a liability. I don't know if I agree with that. I think game to game, you can pick 4 or 5 different players that are a liability any given night. But the ones that are repeat offenders, I don't think Forbort. I don't think Forbort is a liability every single night. But that's my opinion. And thoughts on any of those comments, Mr. McNight?
I don't think he not every night. No, not at all. I would just have to agree with you on that.
Right. Okay, so let's get to the first topic that I had prepared about the actual game itself, and that is that we gave up the first goal again. How?
We can't let.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, we can't be letting them draw first blood all the time like that, right? That's a huge thing in the game of hockey at any level, right? And especially me learning more and more about the game at different levels. It's like scoring first is a huge thing. Like, sometimes, a team can come back. And, yesterday you saw the Sharks, be up 3-1 on the Avs, and the Avs came back to win in overtime. So it's just, it can go either way, but most of the time it's very important to score first. And you saw Ottawa take advantage of that yesterday on the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, they definitely did. They, it's just so rough.
It really is. And I feel for the city. I feel for you. I feel for the fans. And I'm sorry to keep saying about the whole Scheifele thing, but we got to look at what we can get for this kid because he's been here for 10 years. 10 years. And, we're still waiting. We can't be waiting anymore. I'm sorry. The window is closed now on Mark Scheifele.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you. I really think that he's been performing very well, especially this season. He had a huge run early on in the season, like a 15-game point streak or whatever it was. And, he was scoring goals left, right, and center. But ever since Wheeler went out and all the lines got shuffled up and then Ehlers is out, and I just think Scheifele was overextending himself. He was trying to do too many things, as Zoner had pointed out before on the show. And I really think that, I don't know, something's got to give because we keep giving the first goal of the game away. And we're starting games slow. Everybody's coming out just underpowered, under the weather, maybe. I don't think they're sick. There's a lot of testing going on with all that stuff, but there's something up with Scheifele in particular that's rubbing me the wrong way, and that's a little farther down my list. So let's just keep going.
Oh yeah.
Comment here from James Robinson. I understand Chevy not wanting to trade Heinola. I have yet to figure out which is the correct pronunciation because everybody says it different. But perhaps we should
Heinola.
But Heinola?
Yeah.
Okay. Heinola, sure. But perhaps we should have what? Wait, not wanting to trade Heinola, but perhaps we should have so we could get a D that Maurice would actually play. And I agree. It's great to have talent in your D squad, but you got to have some guys that you're willing to play all the time and that sort of become your core. So I get that. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Where's Sammy Niku?
Sammy, he's on the taxi squad he's a healthy scratch most games, to be honest.
Ah, geez, poor kid.
And that's the other thing, is the taxi squad being mismanaged? Because I really feel like there's a lot of players that deserve ice time that aren't getting it. And if you're not going to give it to them, let them play for the Moose. Let them get that ice time.
Give these kids a chance.
Yeah, you don't want, the guys that you're benching and not playing every single game, let them go play. Have that healthy scratch card rotate through some players so that the players that are there now can actually go play with the Moose and get some actual games in real situations. I think it's important to let that happen, especially these young guys that need the experience and all that. So speaking of young guns, let's get into that right now. Should we let Heinola play? What about Cole Perfetti? Okay, Cole Perfetti was the AHL Rookie of the Month.
Yes, he was, right?
Okay.
And I don't understand why he's not getting a chance so late in the season. You never know. He could, bring some spark into that team, into the locker room as well. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of youth. I know there's tons of youth on the Jets, but, he's just coming into the league. He's eager. He's excited. He's enthusiastic. You know what I mean? He's probably just green as ever. So, you can't – he's obviously doing something right if he's going to be the player of the month, or was it player of the week? I'm sorry.
Rookie of the month.
Yeah.
So,
Rookie of the month. Got to give that kid some credit here. Show him some love.
He's killing it. And James Robinson just said in the chat there, Niku is a popcorn warrior, and I agree. He's a
popcorn warrior.
Man, he's there, and he's cheering for his team every night. He wants to play the game. He does, but he's just not getting that opportunity. I say let the guy go back, pull someone else up off the taxi squad or from the Moose or whatever to make your healthy scratch. Rotate through those healthy scratches. I think there are guys just sitting there for too long that aren't getting used, and that hurts them, their careers, and the Jets. When you got guys getting stale, you don't leave bread out of the bag on the counter, overnight.
No, you don't.
That bread is inedible the next day. And so I think we're letting these guys spoil in the wings, and just let them go play or something. But I think, and on the young guns, we talked about it a little bit on the last episode there, when we had Carrie and Zoner here. But the young guns, is it time to let them play? Is it time to let them go? Put Heinola in the lineup. Why not?
Yep.
Cole Perfetti. Why not? Bring him up. Let him play. Sammy Niku, give him some time. Sit DeMello. Pull Morrissey for a game. See what happens.
Yeah,
right?
no
His
kidding.
numbers are the worst of
Did
all
he
the
cut his hair?
What's that?
Did he cut his hair? His hair looked pretty short yesterday.
You're all about the hair. I don't. You have these hair theories. So guys that cut their hair or don't cut their hair and how they perform, it's all correlated somehow. Is there tinfoil under that Jets hat you got on?
No tinfoil. The tinfoil days are over.
I mean, James Robinson agrees with me. Yeah, let the youths play. So let the youth play. They should. He said they cannot possibly hurt their playoff chances at this point, which I agree. At this point, you literally just need to win one game to ensure you're in the playoffs, and what does it matter at this point? Let the young guys play it out the rest of the season. Have a look at them.
Yeah, I can't believe there's no X next to the Jets name or next to Winnipeg right now on your standings list that you showed me. I'm like, and 72, 64, 57. The Jets are still that's a lot of points behind Edmonton.
I'm going to bring up that. I'll bring up that graphic for those that are watching. That didn't update either for some reason. I'm really annoyed. Yeah, and Edmonton actually clinched. The graphic up there didn't update for some reason. Again, all of my technology has rebelled against me today, but I'll just take that graphic down for now. But Edmonton has clinched. They now have 64 points, which clinches them in a playoff spot. And I think at this point it's a foregone conclusion. Toronto ends up first. I think mathematically they are uncatchable. No, that's not true. If they don't win any more of their games, because they've got 4 games left, and Edmonton wins all 6 of the remaining games, Edmonton could potentially end up first. But the likelihood of that is very low. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. Man, I would fix that, but I think it would really mess with the stream if I tried to slide the proper graphics in. But NHL.com/standings will get you that essentially those stats. But I'm sorry, I'm not sure why my program is fighting me today. It just is.
Look at this conspiracy here. So the Jets go play Calgary now.
Yeah.
And right before I went on air, I just showed you a tape job in homage of Brett the Hitman Hart. And he's from Calgary. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Listen, that tape job is a travesty.
For the Hitman. Look at this pink and black attack here.
That's a travesty. I hate that tape job.
For that word. I'm so glad you said. I'm so glad you used that word. It's not a travesty. It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Oh, it's a travesty. Listen, let us know in the comments what you think of that tape job, because that is an eyesore. And on top of that, if you want to call us, you can call this number, 431-800-4555. Leave us a voicemail. That's the WPG Sports line. We can use your opinions on future episodes of the show. And you can email the LZ at thewpg.ca. Also, it never occurred to me to say this to you before, but you can text this number, the 431-800-4555. Text it. You can text it. I don't know why I never said that before, but you can do that. Drop comments. If you're watching this after we're live, you can still comment on the YouTube video. You can comment on Facebook. You can comment on Twitch, whatever. Let us know what you think, one, of that tape job, and two, should the young guns play? Should the young guns play? That's the big question today that we are asking. So get with it right now if you can. Man, Jets drop to 4th to avoid Oilers. Leafs fumble and Oilers take first. This is the way. Wouldn't that be something? With all those the conspiracy theories over whether the Jets are trying to tank to end up 4th so they can play against the Leafs instead of the Edmonton Oilers, and then the Toronto Maple Leafs end up losing out and Edmonton ends up in first, and we end up playing them anyway after all that.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be typical karma. Like, I remember when, not like a bad karma or anything like that, but I remember when one of my old coworkers got a job with the Vegas Golden Knights, and then the Vegas Golden Knights played the Winnipeg Jets their first year in the playoffs. And I was just like, this is great. Guy leaves, and then he has to come back for all these games. I'm like,
Yeah, but that's a good point there, Mr. Robinson. I really appreciate you throwing that in the chat. That's actually really funny to think about. If for some, and I absolutely do not believe that they are trying to tank. I do not. I do not support this conspiracy theory. All I got under my hat is a big bald head. There's no tinfoil hidden under here. But and Maurice even said in an interview, why would we tank? We haven't really seen Montreal at its full power. We haven't really seen Toronto at their full power, right? Like, because they've got all these guys hurt and out of the lineup and this, that, and the other thing. So why would we tank to play a team that is more of an unknown, right? That doesn't help us. Basically, was his answer. Like, even if I thought that we stack up better against the Toronto Maple Leafs, that doesn't. Things between now and the playoffs can change when they get all their guys back. If we end up playing against Montreal, is that better? Probably not. So at this point, he's maintaining, and I believe him, that they're not trying to tank. I don't think people at this level try to tank like that. I just don't.
No, I don't know exactly. No, I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think this is tanking. No, they're just losing, like straight up losing.
Yeah. Yeah, they just are. But speaking of people coming back in lineups and Adam Lowry was back last night, and
yes, he was.
I thought he played pretty well. Do you think that his presence helped the Jets?
I think it did. Yes, his presence is a huge thing. I think that just having him there gave them a little bit more confidence. One, to take this Ottawa game a little bit more seriously, because Ottawa's just proving that they're a pretty hot team. Look, 7-2-1 in their last 10. You can't go wrong with that. Winnipeg is 2-8. So, for them to have somebody that, that's been around for a while, a seasoned veteran, I think it helped them a little bit. Definitely. Just knowing that he's there, their mindset for sure. Because the game probably could have got a little bit more out of hand. Let's say if his presence wasn't there, just knowing that he wasn't on the bench.
Right. So does that mean then that takes some pressure off some guys? Like, I know Mason Appleton was trying to fill some of that role, and I know like Kyle Connor hasn't really had a decent game in the last 4 or 5. He's gone like one shot on goal in all those games, and I don't think he had any in the game against Montreal. I don't know what his shot total was last night against the Sens, but the guy is used to shooting a lot. He's our second period hero. He's got, I think in the league, he still holds the record for most second period goals in the league right now. Is that correct? Somebody can fact check me if you want, but the point is, like, where did he go? Where did that production go? And where
that explosiveness, right? He was always just up and down. The camera even had a tough time keeping up with him.
But yeah, so speaking of their productivity, the Jets just can't score, and that's been their thing. They let in 2-3 goals, but they scored 4. So it wasn't an issue all season, and now their lack of production is really hurting them. Dubois has got to get it together. I've been trying to defend the guy since he got here. He's been shuffled around in the lineup. He's trying to find his role here and all that. And I've been defending him, but he's got to produce, and he's not. And Kyle Connor, we mentioned, not producing. Scheifele has absolutely been garbage the last, 7 games? Oh, weirdly.
Oh, yeah.
Funny correlation there. But
let me ask you a question right now, and this is based on another one of my conspiracies. You're going to love this. When there was an NBA player who got traded to his dad's team, so now there was this big thing. So where I'm going with this, Pierre-Luc Dubois' dad works for the Manitoba Moose. Do you think Pierre-Luc Dubois lives with his parents, or does he have his own place?
I don't know. Maybe he.
Place, but you never know. His parents are here. His dad is an assistant coach there, so well established in Winnipeg. Probably has got somewhere here in one of the areas. So you never know. He's probably got a room for Pierre somewhere.
Yeah,
it is his son. Right?
That's a good question. And maybe he stayed with them at first, and he found his own place, or he's finding his own place. I don't know. But James Robinson threw in the chat there. I wonder if Dubois even knows what his role is on this team, and that's a good question, because
it is.
Has he found it? Has he not? I don't know. But I keep defending the guy, but he's got to produce. He has to start scoring goals. He has to start making plays. He'll get an assist or a goal here and there. But for a guy we gave up Laine for, he has to start being better. I'm running out of ways to defend the guy. And
I think he's intimidated by the captain. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe all of a sudden. I think he's a little bit
of Wheeler?
Yeah, I kind of feel that way. And maybe he just tries to pretend he's not, but I don't know. Maybe he's just not saying that he doesn't like Wheeler. I'm just saying that, excuse me, maybe he's just a little intimidated by the guy. I'm not sure.
That's an interesting theory I hadn't even thought of, but yeah, I don't know. But then what's Kyle Connor's excuse, and what's Scheifele's excuse, and what's
do you know what
I mean?
Exactly.
It isn't just Dubois. We're talking about Dubois right now, but he's not the only guy who's got problems right now.
That's true. Yeah, there are a lot of players on this team that are in some serious issues right now with the way they've been producing lately, because they haven't been producing very much at all.
And Mason Appleton has been playing awesome hockey, absolutely unable to score. I don't know what it'll take for this guy to, because we've seen some plays that he's made that are goal of the year candidates. There was that one where Kopp gave him that really nice saucer pass, and he absolutely turned the rest of that into the Mason Appleton show. And he had some success throughout the year, but he's just absolutely unable to get a goal at all in any way. And do you know what I mean? We could go through the entire roster, and this is what's happening right now. So at this point, going back to, is Pomo the problem? Is it
no?
Is it all the players? Are they just not listening to him?
Or somehow hit a wall all together? How does this happen now? That all have to happen at the same time?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's like the first day of winter in Winnipeg, how everybody else forgets how to drive.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I don't
know. So we're going to Calgary. The boys are probably on the way there. And let's see what happens when they play the Flames. The Flames are 6-4 in their last 10. So, I don't know what to say. I'm so worried about this team right now. It almost feels like they might not even make the playoffs. But we know they're going to make the playoffs. But it just seems that they're fighting for their lives, just to get in.
Yeah, and Carrie just pointed out in the chat, and that's a fact too. Appleton had less than 8 minutes last night of ice time after being, one of the top time getters, in the previous couple of games. So Carrie Bukowski said, "I think Apple is hurt."
All right.
So
I definitely can. Yeah, hopefully some questions can be answered here, because there's a lot of pondering thoughts here right now about this team.
I'm also getting very concerned at the state of affairs that this team is facing. So what can be done is I guess the question that remains. What can the Jets do? to turn this around?
I don't know. I'm just like when I was listening to some of the radio broadcasts yesterday, I was just like, really? Like, these are the things you're going to say about a team that's on a 7-game losing streak? It's just like, I'm sorry. Like, the team is not playing well right now, and they're getting beat. Like, I guess, yeah, it's almost like I'm just lost for words. I'm just like ready to move on, see what they're going to do in Calgary tomorrow night. And let's just see if they can really end this streak. Because if they lose tomorrow, that goes to 9 games in a row, right? Because yesterday was 8.
Was that the case?
Or is it 7? Was it 7 yesterday? Wow.
So no, it was 7 losses in a row, if that's what you're getting to.
Yeah. So tomorrow, if they drop this game to Calgary and make it 8 in a row, like, I don't know. I don't see them winning a single game in the first round, whoever they play.
Oh, wow, really? You think it's an 0-4 exit regardless?
Oh, I think it's a first round exit, 4-game sweep. Oh, yes.
That's a very bold prediction.
Yeah,
and not
the Jets aren't playing like they want to be there. They're not playing like the team that came out of the when the puck dropped at the beginning of the year. We saw a hungry team. We saw a team that just didn't even let themselves lose 2 to 3 in a row. Like, they always bounced back. And now all of a sudden, what? Because Ehlers is going to come out, like, someone's got to pick up the slack here. Excuse me. If someone like if the youth is going to have to get to play, there's going to be a lot of work that they have to do. And I think they're willing to do that work. And like you said, these guys just aren't getting the opportunity. And now I'm starting to feel everybody's frustration about Exegian Carey's, as he was saying that the reluctancy of Paul Maurice not wanting to shuffle these lines is really starting to show now. And maybe because of that is why his job should be in question, regardless of the record that I saw yesterday of him on Reddit.
Fair. And yeah, by the way, Mr. Robinson threw in the chat there the Vesalainen with less than 6 minutes as well in the game. So I think Maurice is leaning too heavily on his top 2 lines. And, I mean, to be fair, there were a lot more power play opportunities last night than we're used to seeing. So guys who aren't on those power play units aren't going to see that time. So there's a little bit of that concern tempered a bit. But I agree, Vesalainen needs to see the ice more. Because if I wasn't going to pick Logan Stanley as my player of the game, Vesalainen, you could make an argument that he played very well. Especially like he's trying to make as much of the opportunity he's given as he can. And that's, I think that's commendable, and he's playing hard. I think these young guns, Vesalainen, Harkins, Niku's sitting in the wings, Perfetti, Heinola, all 3 of those guys, they're sitting in the wings and they're waiting to go, and they've got nothing but contributing on their minds. I think, and going back to when Carey pointed out at the beginning there, the unshuffling of the lines, not shuffling the lines is a big deal. It's very frustrating for fans to watch. And
I'm starting to feel that now, yes.
Yeah.
Just the more and more we elaborate on this, and then you see what, like, now we're, as we kept on talking, I was like, well, okay, well, now I see where Carey's coming from with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So to the chat box, Carey Bulkowski giving us some wisdoms of his own here. Circling back to Dubois, he says, I think Pomo is happy with what he's doing, just a grinding midline center, totally missing his potential as an actual goal scorer. I agree. I think something's got to give there. Maybe slide Stastny to the middle, put Dubois back on the wing. He seemed to be able to find a lot of productivity and happiness on the wing there. Maybe shuffle it up. Carey also says, loving what Vesa does. Every time he touches the puck, something exciting happens. I agree. And that's why if I wasn't going to pick Logan Stanley last night, because he was by far the Jets' best player, in my opinion, then Vesalainen would have got a shout out there on that one. So, but speaking of 6 power plays, what's happening with the power play? What has to change? They don't have Ehlers. How do they need to adjust? I think it's time to get Wheeler off that power play unit. I like Wheeler.
Yeah,
but
I can see that. Yeah, and maybe bring somebody a little bit more explosive, a little bit more young, a little bit more youth.
I mean, like the power play guys you want to see out there. Kyle Connor. I want to see Neil Pionk. I want to see Scheifele when he's not dragging his heels and playing like he might have a groin pull or something like that. Like, when he's playing well, he's got to be a guy out there. And who else do you put out there? I think Appleton should have a shot at that. I think the way that he plays would benefit. He'd benefit from some power play time, some looks as well. I think things. Those are the guys you want to see out there right now, given who we have. Maybe give Dubois some more power play time. Maybe that'll make him happy. I don't know. But I mean, something's got to change. I don't know what that is. Hit us up in the comments. Give us a call on the WPG Sports line or text 431-800-4555. Email the LZ at thewpg.ca with your thoughts, or you can leave them in the comments section of the YouTube video if you're watching later, or the on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, all that. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're watching this. It goes a long way. For those that don't know, the subscriptions actually open up toolboxes. Once you hit a certain number of subscriptions on your channel, you have access to more tools you didn't before. So those when you subscribe, it isn't just a click to say, hey, I support you. You're actually helping us access tools that we don't have access to. So like, subscribe, ring the bell to get the notifications so you know when we go live and when we add new videos to the channel. It isn't just WPG Sports that goes up there on the WPG Magazine's YouTube channel. There's free dance classes sometimes and all that kind of stuff. So that's my little advertisement for our YouTube channel. So thank you very much. Getting back to the matter at hand. Again, these Jets, the playoffs are coming. They are not ready. They need to get ready. And I don't know what that's going to look like. So
someone's going to drop the gloves here.
And Toninato, of course, Carrie Bulkowski pointing out, poor Dominic Toninato has been stuck in limbo most of the season. I agree. He's been sitting on the taxi squad or as a healthy scratch or back on the taxi squad, and could add some fresh leg depth. But again, Pomo seems content to play the same stale lines game in and game out. And I agree. Stop playing Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler. Stop that line. Stop it. They had some success early on, and that was it. It's gone now. That the magic has left. Well,
here we are now.
Yeah. And James Robinson throwing in the chat, hit that like button faster than Chevy hitting the panic button. Oh. Angry but true. It's unfortunate that that's where we're at. But looking at the rest of the league, though, who's looking the most dangerous to you?
Toronto. Oh, the league. Oh,
in the league.
The Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals. I still think Colorado is a very dangerous looking team. Carolina's got 4 wins in a row. Colorado 3 in a row. Florida has 4 in a row. They've clinched a spot. I can't believe all the X's out here that we see across the league. Lots of already clinched playoff teams. It's
Here's the conspiracy on why the Colorado Avalanche won't be the team. I don't know what's up with those blue pants. They need to go back to black ones. The blue pants, I don't know whose idea that was or who thinks that goes well with the contrast with their maroon and white. It actually doesn't. Take a close look. They need to go back to black pants, and I'm telling you, they'll get over the hump. But as long as they're wearing those blue pants, they're not going to hoist the Lord Stanley Cup this year. I'm standing by that.
Fair enough. What's crazy? Despite the 7-game losing streak, we're sitting 3rd in the division, and
I know and that's the weird part.
And they're in the top half of the league as far as points and points percentage.
They're like, exactly. Yeah. They're not in like any, in the sense of like the league, they're not, the Jets aren't like a team to worry about in the sense of getting to the playoffs. No, there are a team to worry about once they get into the playoffs. How are they going to fare out?
Well, and that's the thing.
The teams that they haven't seen, right?
Taking your slump at the end of the year is never good.
No.
I call it backing your way into the playoffs, because you've played so well to get yourself in a playoff position. And listen, when there were no Jets and I didn't live here, I was a Habs fan as a kid growing up. I've always been a Habs fan. And how many times have I watched them need the last game of the year to be a win in order to make the playoffs?
And it didn't happen.
Oh, and sometimes it didn't, but a lot of the time it did, where they literally won that last game.
You told me that one year it didn't.
But that's backing your way into the playoffs. That's like, if you don't win, you don't make the playoffs. You're going in the playoffs backwards, and you got to figure that out. You want to hit the playoffs full steam. If you're going to have a slump, have it at the beginning of the season or somewhere in the middle, and then round your way up. This is the worst time to be slumping. For the Winnipeg Jets, there are 5 games left on the season. That's 10 points that they could potentially earn. But the way they're playing, it's altogether likely they get 0. And Kerry Bukowski says, smash subscribe harder than Stanley smashing Shabbat, which I think is rude because he was hurt on the play. But I agree with the sentiment. Hit the subscribe button is the point. He also says Carolina only has 10 regulation losses this season, and that is scary. I agree. They are a terrifying team. And
terrifying team for the first place in the league. When I saw that record, I was like, whoa, where do they come from?
Yeah, honestly, ridiculous. And beyond that, they only have 7 overtime losses. So they have 17 total losses on the year.
That's a full send for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Right? Come on now.
Like literally, talk about a hurricane. Cliches.
35 wins out of 52 games. And that's, the only reason that they're sitting in first, even then, Vegas has 1 game in hand on them, and they're 3 points back because they have they have extra losses versus overtime losses. So those overtime losses were a big deal. So Carolina's probably going to come out of this league the winners of the President's Trophy or whatever it's called. I'm impressed. Carolina, 10 regulation losses. They are scary. I agree. But that doesn't make other teams not scary, So
yeah,
it is what it is.
Is Connor McDavid going to hit 100 points?
You know what? At this point, I hope he does.
Yeah, I hope he does too. I got to root for the guy.
I hope he hits it. What do they got left for games? They got 6 games left.
6 games.
6 games. So. How many points does he need right now?
Let's find out.
I'm gonna click on this old stats button. Let's have a look. Sorry, everybody, we're doing some Googling as we go, and we're about to finish up here, so bear with us. Connor McDavid, 91 points. He's got
91 points.
6 games.
He's gonna do it
to get 9 points.
He's gonna do it. If I can get 16 points in 8 games in my beer league, he can do it in the NHL for sure.
Well, every single game he played against the Winnipeg Jets, he got more than 1 point. He got 2 or more points in every single game against the Jets. So we did our part to help him. So
yes, we did.
Now it's just up to the other teams that the Edmonton Oilers have to play against to get those 9 extra points in here. So. I agree, James Robinson. They are a bunch of jerks. I don't know who he's talking about.
The Carolina Hurricanes, probably, because that was a big thing a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. But generally when Winnipeg fans say bunch of jerks, it's usually Nashville they're talking about, or the Kachucks as a family. But we are. That's it for our show today. If you have any more that you want to hit us up with. Question-wise, comments, all that stuff, you can do through all of our social medias, the WPG Magazine, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, this YouTube thing. Again, like and subscribe goes a long way for us. Go ahead and give us a call or a text on the WPG Sports Line, 431-800-4555. Email the LZ at thewpg.ca. You can join us live on our streams. So we'll be back again Thursday at 11 a.m. And we look forward to you being in our chat box. See this beautiful little chat box thing? And Yeah, so I'm just reading the comment. There's still comments coming in, but we don't have time. We got to go. It is that time of the day. So thank you very much to our sponsor, Aqua-Tech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We greatly appreciate all of those wonderful people over there doing nice things for us and helping us out. Very, very supportive. You can support us just by liking and doing all that we've already said. So we'll see you next time in the LZ.